We'll do it live. F*** it.
It was really unfortunate to see the video. It was Ryan Carson.
Yeah, Ryan Carson. He was killed in New York City at 3:50 in the morning after a wedding because he made a series of mistakes that got him killed. And someone with a little more self-preservation instinct could have avoided those mistakes easily. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are trying to lay the blame at the fact that Carson was a left-wing activist. You know, he was a BLM guy. He was the kind of guy that would not permit himself to stereotype a stranger as dangerous because that would be racist. And as a result, he blundered right into a situation that got him murdered. That's what some people want to put the blame on. I don't see it that way. I really don't see it that way.
I don't either.
I think Ryan Carson simply had no concept of self-defense overall. And so he made certain assumptions, and then when he panicked, it's what got him killed.
Absolutely.
You know, and if people haven't seen the video, if you could find the full video rather than the edited version that's just the beginning and the end, you know, he's sitting on this bench. He and his date get up. There's a guy who has walked past them. He didn't notice them. He's further down the street and he's kicking over scooters. I found you couldn't tell from the video what he was knocking over, but he's enraged and he's doing something. He's kicking something. Well, somebody else told me it was scooters parked on the side.
That's what it was. That's what I read.
So instead of avoiding him, instead of immediately going, this man's going through something, let us go this way, he and his date walk at him. And so Brian is the name of the guy that killed Carson. Brian sees them and just needs an outlet for his anger. So he basically says, back the F up or I'll kill you. And instead, now anyone else with any concept of self-preservation will go, you know, sir, you're absolutely right, and go immediately in the other direction. But unfortunately, Carson, because he was a bigger, taller guy, I think he thought, I can handle this. So he keeps telling him, chill. And he keeps putting his hand on the guy's chest. Now, that's the one thing he did that was a good thing because it was keeping him at arm's length. But at some point, Brian goes for the knife in his pocket. And we see his hand come up and go across Carson's face or neck area. And everything changes in that moment. I think suddenly Carson realized, I'm about to get cut or stabbed. So he turns, and at some point he's about to break into a run. When he does, Brian breaks into a sprint after him, and he's holding the knife as he does it. But unfortunately, Carson has miscalculated, and he hits the bench with all of his weight, goes face down on top of one of those hostile architecture bars that divide the bench up so you can't sleep on it. And I think he was probably unconscious as Brian rolled him off the bench and stabbed him to death.
Hopefully he was unconscious at that point.
It was just, it was brutal. And, people have given the date a lot of grief for standing there, but I think she was either in shock or didn't fully understand how serious this was.
Yeah.
And clearly the woman who approached after saying, I am so sorry. Are you folks okay? Like she was clearly felt responsible for Brian in some way.
But...
Well, no, it was comical because I don't think she understood. No, ma'am, this dude's just been stabbed to death.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was obvious.
Did the pool of blood not give it away that he was laying face first down then?
Well, you don't always see that right away. There was a
good point.
There was a video of a slashing that happened in, I want to say it was a mall in Australia, where these two groups of people are giving each other grief. And one guy has a knife in his hand and reaches out and slashes a guy. And there's a moment where you see that guy kind of go, feel like something bad has happened. And then you see the pool of blood form in the floor below him. And so sometimes it can be that subtle, and when in fact someone is dying.
Yeah, that's true. Let me talk a little bit about it. What I saw, like now, number one, to our listeners, watchers, be careful. Like if you don't want to see someone die, get murdered brutally. Like I didn't see the full unedited clip. I saw the one before, after, and then the box over it. That was enough for me. But what I saw was so many mistakes. And I don't think it's fair. Let's just take the politics out of it. Let's take his past out of it. Let's just look at it as two younger people confronting someone who's out of his mind. All right. Which the scary thing is, it could happen to any of us. People are crazy. They have manic. I don't know what this dude, Brian, is that his name? I don't know if he was having a manic episode or he was just an asshole.
He could have been on drugs. He might have had an argument with his girlfriend. He was 18 years old and Carson was in his early 30s.
Mm-hmm. So number one, when I saw them sitting on the bench, you could tell it's at night, and I'm thinking, okay, you're vulnerable already. You know?
Yeah.
Your back's to the street. It looks fairly, you could tell it's in the middle of the night. They say nothing good happens after what? Whatever.
Yeah, it was 3:50 a.m. It was almost 4 o'clock in the morning.
Go home. Go home. Get an Uber. Wait for that or whatever. Wait for it to pull up. Then run out the door into the car. You know, call me paranoid, but
go.
Yeah, I'm a mental survivalist. I'm always thinking of exit strategies. I'm always weary of sitting in restaurants and I hate going to banks. I'm always alert. I'm always aware, and I expect anything out of anybody at any time. Which sounds probably absolutely crazy, especially to people like this guy was probably, who wants to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
So, number one, they're vulnerable. Number two, never walk toward danger. I believe he walked this way. He started a public disturbance, knocking over city equipment, the bikes or whatever. Then they started if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, Phil, but don't they start walking toward him, right?
Yeah, they're walking right at him on the same sidewalk, as if he's busy attacking scooters, but it'll be fine.
So, number two, always, like, to me, my priority is my family, my wife, my kids, and I will jump in front of a bullet or a blade for them. So, number one, my wife would be behind me. I would be shielding her away from this guy or away from the street. You know, true gentlemen walk closer to the curb. But anyway, so that's number one. But you don't walk toward danger. The first thing you avoid danger at all costs. Don't worry about looking like a pussy. Get up, say, we got to go, and disappear. Walk in the opposite direction. You don't walk toward danger, right?
Exactly.
Now, probably giving people the benefit of the doubt, not experienced, and I told you this in a side conversation, the two cities I've lived in, New Orleans and Memphis, are pretty high crime, you know, so I'm used to crime. I've been sort of, your background and where you come up has a lot to do with your survival instincts, and I don't know if this kid had survival instincts at that moment.
No, he had none.
Right. Which is sad. It's sad to see, because he didn't stand a chance. But he first thing is just just leave. Don't be there. But sometimes you can't help where you are and when you're there. But you got to walk away from danger. You don't walk into the path. You don't try not to lock eyes with anyone, because I think that's what it was. He says, "What are you?" You know, he didn't like the fact.
He just wanted an outlet for his anger, and these people were convenient. He walked by them and ignored them as if they were the scenery. He wasn't targeting them. It's only when they put himself in his path and his sort of angry glare fixated on them, he's like, oh, look, I can now take out my hostility on this guy. Mm-hmm. You know, and honestly, even when he challenged them, you know, what are you looking at, or whatever it is he said, if that guy had said, I'm so sorry, and just went the other way, he probably would have let him go. He just wanted them to back down. You know, he just needed to feel better about whatever he was furious about. But instead, being challenged, being told, chill by a guy he doesn't know, who is now in his mind resisting him, challenging him. You know, that's, you know, his back is up, and now he's like, well, I got to make this guy submit. I got to make him submit to me. And if that means killing him, fine. Because you can see it in the way he treats, you can see it in the way he treats the woman after the stabbing. Because he goes to leave. He's starting to turn and walk away before that poor man has even finished his death roll on the pavement. And he remembers that she exists. I don't know if she said something or he just remembered. But he turns and he barks at her like this, lunges forward.
Yeah, I would call
Barks at her.
he flinched at her, so he tried to get
Yeah, and then
things to her face, which
as
is
if
horrifying.
Yes, and as if to prove a point, he then kicks the body on the pavement.
I did see
because
that
he's
part.
just he barks at her and then he kicks Carson again before walking away. And it's like he couldn't be bothered to kill her. She's just witnessed his crime and he doesn't care.
Well, today he's crying, I noticed, coming out of court with tears. I haven't read up on it. I just saw that.
Yeah, because his life is over.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. I think the kick should get, like, okay, you might get 60 years, but the kick, you're no parole. You're out.
It's a bad look.
Should be like double life.
The kick and the barking at her as if to cement the fact that I'm a very bad man.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be really hard for them to defend what he did. Now,
Sure.
also, though, it's New York City where they love criminals and hate people who defend themselves. So who knows? Maybe he'll get off with parole.
I want to talk about another based on that real. But before we get to that, the prank, the YouTuber prank in the mall who got shot. I want to talk about that in a second. But one thing I want to say about this: not everyone is packing. This Ryan dude probably wasn't packing. He didn't have a weapon.
Oh, hell no, not in New York City.
Yeah. So in that situation, if you can't defend yourself with a weapon, you definitely need to run. Or get the hell. You don't want it. Like today, I was riding my bike. Hold that thought real quick. I was riding my bike, and in this area, there's a lot of dogs, pit bulls. There's a lot of dogs that are just loose, and I don't trust them. And if I see them, I stop. And I'm about, in eyes view, I'm like, okay, what do I do in this situation? And what I did was I crossed the street. I went along, and then I came back over. I didn't go toward these dogs. I don't know what they're going to do, So that's just a simple way to think.